I hope you're all doing well. So we have some huge news coming out on the market today, and we're going to be talking about two stocks specifically, Planet 13 and Workhorse. And with Planet 13, they just destroyed Q3 preliminary revenue. And for Workhorse, well, I mean, now negotiations of the USPS contract might be even more delayed, mainly due to this, and pretty much Trump has delayed stimulus talks so until after the election results, and this might be, of course, like a tactic for the presidential elections. And so this definitely put a damper, I think, on Planet 13 stock. So when most stocks were down on that day, like the Dow lost like 600 points in literally like the last hour. It looks like the market just like dove off a cliff. Planet 13 was actually up 6%. This is like the Canadian currency here, of which I own. And so some huge news for Planet 13 was that total revenue increased. So total revenue was 22.8 million in Q3 compared to 16.7 million last year in Q3 2019, which is an increase of 36.5%, right? And when we look at the expectation was like 5.6, but then they, I guess, revised it right before. So it was like 11.2%. So they absolutely destroy this revenue growth number. Next quarter, they even increased their expected growth to 21%. I believe it was like, I don't know, like 15 or 10% around. So they increased that to 21%. And still for next year, the projection is for them to grow 107% year over year, which is insane in terms of their revenue growth. Okay, so if we look at other forms of revenue, so in-store revenue of 18.5 compared with 16.3 million, and this is in-store revenue when the whole pandemic is going on, when people aren't necessarily even allowed to, or are limited in terms of the numbers that they're allowed to go in stores, which is an increase of 13%. Delivery and curbside revenue of 3.4 million compared to 295,000. So this pretty much business, curbside and delivery, was non-existent in last year, but now it gained to 3.4 million, like wow, more than pretty much 8 times the last year numbers, right? And then wholesale and other revenue was of 1 million in Q3 compared to 61,000. So again, insane growth there in their wholesale and other revenue. Okay, and from the CEO, they were saying that Q3 has proven Planet 13's resilience and strength. We drove an impressive rebound in sales and a record quarter by making operational improvements in responses to the pandemic. Okay, this improvement has led to higher average tickets and conversion rate despite the reduced tourist traffic, right? So hopefully once everything picks up, once hopefully the second wave decreases, we will again start to see an even more drastic increase in their in-store revenue. So I thought that was just ridiculous. And I mean, when you look at revenue growth like this during the pandemic, that's just completely ridiculous. So I'm surprised that, of course, it didn't go up more, but just because the stimulus talks or stimulus negotiations were axed until after the election, or at least that's what Trump said, it sort of decreased from going up above 12% to just like 6% gain over the day, right? So of course I'm holding, and this is just exciting news for me. And I was even thinking of buying more, but we'll see if the stock can sort of decrease, because I got in at around like $4.20 a share. Okay, the next news is from Workhorse. So this stock has been like above $30, and since then at its highs, since then it just was down by like around 20%, but it's still high over the month, and over the past 5 days, it's went from like $26 to $23, which represents like a 10% drop. And of course, this is a very small market cap company. It's like 2.5 billion, and this is involved in last mile delivery vehicles. Now, one thing is that even though that Workhorse is has been pretty volatile lately just because of the USPS contract, it has generally been holding its ground, although it has been decreasing over the past 5 days. And I mean, part of the reason why investors are sort of going in and out of the stock is because of the USPS contract. However, this was over a month ago. They said that the USPS contract, that 4 out of the 5 companies that were involved in the contract, they provided low quality prototype vehicles submitted for testing and evaluation. They're saying that these vehicles experienced critical safety failures during the prototype testing phase, including brake failures and leaky fuel tanks. Okay, so of course that's not good. And of course, on the EV market as a whole, especially with the smaller cap companies, a lot of investors are pulling back because there has been a lot of hype, a lot of expectations. And now, as we can see, Helion has just decreased by like 15% over the past day and is even down in pre-market here. And I mean, this is a company that, was like over $50 and now decreased, or stock dropped by like 37% just in the, past couple days, right? So, I mean, this just goes to show that like the new EV sector space, although there's a lot of hype on it, it can go wrong when investors pull back or the results aren't as expected, right? So of course we're still waiting for the USPS contract, and I mean it might take even now because of the stimulus talks that they're axed. The USPS contract might not even be made until after elections, just because for political reasons doesn't show very well that they'd go through with the USPS contract, but they don't go through with the stimulus talks to give money to people, right? Even though that those are two completely separate things, the USPS contract and stimulus talks and stimulus negotiations, it'll show that they sort of value getting the USPS contract or trucks, more than they value giving money to people, right? And so finally, the last piece of bullish news is that Romeo Power, which provides battery trucks to EV companies, has recently said that, of course, USPS is going to electrify a majority of its fleet. And they showed that, medium-duty short-haul trucks, so, and they provided like a picture of the USPS truck right here, right? So this has been, sort of leaked in other videos as well, and I think this is, definitely bullish news. I don't know if, just because they're showing this doesn't mean that that Workhorse will be the main contributor of the electrified USPS trucks, but this is obviously like pretty good news, especially since they say or they talk about somewhere else in their presentation here that they are looking to, or USPS is looking to electrify most of their fleet right here, right? So the USPS is electrifying the majority of its 200,000 vehicle fleet, and then they show a picture of course, of this fleet, and they show just the USPS truck right here, medium duty short haul trucks, right, for last mile delivery. Okay, so these are just all the news for Workhorse. And I mean, right now, this is a pretty volatile stock. And of course, if they don't get the contract, it's going to plummet. I believe the stock will definitely plummet. However, if it does get the contract, it could, go up to like $40. So, or even more, right? So I just thought I'd share that news. This is kind of a different format, but let me know what you think. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day.